Hello and welcome to another episode of Shh, Don't Tell My Mom. I am your host, Alexander Scatino, and today we are joined by Mandy, the erotic phone entertainer. Mandy, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, Alex. Thanks for having me. So I like to call myself an erotic telephone entertainer or ETE, otherwise known as, I guess. Um, so I have been doing this for, gosh, a really, really, really long time, Alex.
Hmm.
um, but I've been connected with one company doing it since 2010, and I love what I do. I talk with all sorts of different people, as you can imagine, almost exclusively men, but men with all sorts of interests and desires and fantasies and just things they want to explore and things they want to share with me. And you know, oftentimes those are things that, you know what, they're not even going to tell their wife, they're not going to tell their girlfriend, they're, you know, uh can't tell their, one of their best buddies at work or anything like that. So um I guess I feel like I provide a lot by, you know, talking to them, listening to them, and giving them a great outlet in many, many different ways.
That that does sound like an interesting position to be in, where you're providing a space for people to express themselves authentically. Do you find that to be the case, that they are like expressing themselves in an authentic way when they speak to you?
I do. I do. And honestly, I don't know that they, from the get-go necessarily do that. I
Mm.
think for them to honestly share themselves with me really authentically, sometimes that really takes time. So that might not happen in the first call we have. That might not happen in the third call that we have, even. It could take weeks, months, etc., for them to feel, that I'm really listening to them, that I care about them, that I'm here for them, and we just kind of, building that trust and respect and oftentimes, honestly, a friendship. And that's when I think when that type of relationship and bond gets built between myself and that person, my client, that's when I really see them being their most true and authentic self.
Beautiful. And you were saying that you don't see them have the ability to tell their wife, their girlfriend, or significant other, whoever it may be, about these fantasies or desires that they have. Um, how does that feel for you to be able to be that person that they can speak to?
It feels amazing. I feel very uh, I feel very grateful, and I feel very honored, honestly. And I want everyone, all of my clients, to be able to have that with me, feel that with me. Honestly, I would like them to be able to have that with their partner, with their wife, with their spouse, with their girlfriend, with, whomever is, you know, in their life, near and dear to them. I mean, it could be, their friends that they, I wish they could have that with, even that they, it's such a deep, dark secret, or or desire or what have you that they're not going to share, and don't feel that they'll be able to. Um, yeah, so it makes me feel, like I said, um, amazing and special that that bond gets developed, um, and then allowing them to share with me, open up to me, confide in me. Yeah, it feels amazing.
Well, you're a skillful person. How long have you been doing this work?
I've been doing this work since, for the first time, actually, I was doing this work in the mid 90s. So it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first started uh, doing phone fantasy. You could call it phone fantasy, you could call it phone sex, you could call it, you know, erotic telephone entertaining. I mean, there's lots of different words that I could ascribe to, my role,
Hmm.
my work. So, but I also, I think I bring a certain slant and thinking and therapeutic way to, actually, I guess should say I know I do, to what I do, because my background in training and education is in counseling. So I kind of feel like I'm thinking about things and my clients differently than potentially other people who are, doing what I do, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think so. I don't think there are many uh, counselor slash erotic phone entertainers out there. So you're bringing something unique to the table. Tell us more about your education. You said you studied counseling. And
Yes. Yes. So I went to Lesley, used to be Lesley College in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now it's been Lesley University for years, and I, back in 2003, received my master's in counseling psychology.
mm,
So, yeah. So, and like I said, or I think I said, I feel like everything I am doing with my clients, and every time I am with them in a session, I feel like my education, um, and my experience during that time, back in those days, really, informs everything I do and how I do it and how I think about it, and just sort of that openness and uh, sort of that therapeutic, um, type of mindset, you know. So, and you mentioned, you know, Alex, just being your authentic self, and I would love everyone to feel like they can, be their authentic self, in the world. And I think for most of us, that's not necessarily an easy thing to do, day in, day out. So,
I I think the journey to find your authentic self is difficult, and to throw the words very or maybe or any sort of qualifier to that does a disservice to the people who are on the journey of self-awareness and being authentic. It is difficult, uh, and some people require support to finding that. So um, it's an interesting thing that the support that you give is coming from such a out of right field um, way of doing it, right? You're sort of bringing this therapeutic mindset to erotica, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Definitely.
and in that may be an easier way of swallowing that pill of like creating the trust to being authentic through someone who's coming from it in more of a artistic standpoint or like a carnal standpoint than it is to become coming out being a um, purely mental standpoint. So that's what I'm like absorbing right now and what you say, because those are my interests, are like this whole asking the question or stating the statement, shh, don't tell my mom, which is like, these aren't things that you necessarily have a support system put in place for you to express yourself. So it's like nerve wracking to do it and to find, even to find people to do it with. Uh, and it's interesting that you have, I'm seeing a similarity between what you're up to and what I just started being up to. So I enjoy that.
Good. I like it too.
um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, you've been doing this for 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
When I first started, correct. Yep.
25 years. And through that time, have you found yourself being supported through this process?
I have to, I mean, certainly some extent, without a doubt. I mean, I am someone who really um, doesn't like to hide myself, who doesn't like to be, who I like to share myself. I like to be open with people and all that. That's really important to me. Um, but obviously, doing what I do, it's not like you're going to tell anyone and everyone what you do. It just doesn't necessarily make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you're not going to probably tell, you know, everyone, your deepest, darkest secret, right? It might be, you might have that secret that you told that to one person in your life, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've always honestly felt supported in doing what in doing this work by the people in my life that have always been kind of the closest to me. So, whether that's the relationship that I was in, the marriage I was in, my mom, my friends, what have you. So overall, I would say I've been pretty darn, feeling pretty darn supportive. Yes. Or supported. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, mhm.
Well, that's great. Um, how
It is.
did you find those relationships and like find the internal trust that you have to go and talk to these people about the things that you're up to and being a exotic phone entertainer?
Yes. I like exotic, maybe even better than erotic. I liked
Ooh,
that.
because I'm like an
I like
exotic
that.
dancer, right?
Right? Right? Yeah.
Or,
I love dancing. I've
yeah,
never thought about doing that, but I like dancing.
I'm currently thinking about doing it, so
Oh, all right. I say do it. I say go.
I
Go for
say
it.
I say go too. I'm about to.
I support you totally, Alex.
Thank you.
So, yes, yes. So I can tell you that as far as feeling a sense of community or support, yes, I've very much felt it with, you know, at times for sure. I'm going to call them colleagues, other women who are doing what I do.
Hmm.
So we absolutely, there's, with the company that I've been with since 2010. There have been outings, there have been trips and all that. And, we sometimes do actual client calls together. And, there's definitely support. And we're very much in each other's corner. So, cheering each other on and working together in different ways and helping each other. And so as far as a sense of support and community in that way, it, with this company that I'm with, it absolutely does exist. So it's wonderful.
I'm glad you have that community.
Yes.
Now, is that community, has COVID-19 disrupted that community at all?
Uh, I'm going to say no. I think if anything, there's a chance that it's, you know, for the most part, brought us potentially even slightly closer in
Mhm.
some ways. I mean, there would have probably been a potentially a trip by now, which, hasn't happened, of course, because of COVID. So I guess in that regard, yes, but overall, no, not at all. It's, everything is, it's pretty much online,
Mhm.
so we're right there to support each other.
Do you have any philosophies or mantras or things, phrases that you go by um, in your own life, and like keeping yourself in a good frame of mind to be doing this work?
That's a great question. It's a great question. Uh, I recently did I took a workshop which started towards the beginning of the year and it went for 8, 9 weeks. And it was a meditation workshop, which I've never done until then ever in my life. I've barely meditated. But I've been fascinated just thinking about what it might be like. And honestly, all the wonderful ways it could help me. And my both from mindset as well as physical, and of course we know our mind and body are so connected and all that. So that has helped me sort of breathe better. It sounds funny, but I'm thinking you probably know what I mean maybe when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
Just ground myself, center myself, uh, and so all that, my mindset has changed since being in that workshop, which ended up going from in person, the few of
Mm-hmm.
us,
Mm-hmm.
to online
Mm-hmm.
at the end of it because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but I guess I will not work if I am not physically feeling up for it, if I'm not mentally feeling in a good space to listen, because listening is absolutely unequivocally key to what I do. It's key. It's so essential. uh, so if I feel like I really can't do that or do it well as I know I can and want to, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not I'm not going to log in that day, and I'm not going to take calls. I'm not going to put myself out there to my clients or to any client, to anyone calling looking to talk to me. So
Now, is that to protect yourself? Is there things that are coming through? Like if you're in a good headspace, if something negative comes up, it's easy to shirk off. If you're in a negative headspace, then it can sort of snowball. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, yes, that can definitely be part of it. Um, I guess my thinking on it is I it's not going to be fair to either of us. And
Mm.
I'm kind of thinking about them first before me.
Mm,
because they're the client. But if I'm not in the right mental, physical space and I'm not up for it, yeah, I'm not going to be able to give 100% to them in the moment and be there for them. And, you know, granted, I'm not always going to be 100% myself or able to give 100% of myself. But if I'm giving, 98, 99, I'm still feeling good about things. If I'm giving, you know, 75%, I'm probably not feeling nearly as great about working and, my ability to be there for them.
mm.
So, yeah.
And the meditation helps you get to that mental state.
Uh, it definitely does help me at times get there. And honestly, I'm not, utilizing it and that training, that information, that knowledge that I took in those weeks as much as I would like to, or in the day to day, manner that I think would be most beneficial for me, honestly. Um, but I still do know that, okay, I'm feeling, stressed, panicky, etc. Okay, stop. Just, listen to yourself, just take a moment, just breathe, just follow your breath, just all is good, all is well, and that can definitely help for sure. Be very centering. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing a meditation, lots of it, for a couple of years. But then I started getting a bit disconnected, and now instead of meditating, I want to smoke a cigarette, um,
Mhm.
which is this weird new thing, fairly new thing.
Mm.
And I know the half hour break is going to be a great break for me, or whatever it is, an hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. But the few, I mean, it probably takes like 10 minutes for me because I roll my own cigarette and then I like try to keep it as like a meditative practice as a substitution for meditation, which is really weird. Do you see yourself having like a substitute that doesn't that seems to like take less time, but it might be a workaround, or the band-aid that you might be using?
Hmm. Like, instead of meditating or what have
Yeah,
you, is
instead of
that what you're?
meditating, I pour myself a cocktail, or I like,
Yeah.
or do something that gives me a calming result, but it's not really like the meditation is like exponential.
Right.
You start,
Right.
you start, and in a month, you're like in a different headspace than you were when you started. But the cigarette gets me to the same space sort of every time. It never builds up.
Okay. Okay. So it's like a momentary, in the
Yeah,
moments. It's doing what that meditation would do in those moments for you. Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So maybe it could be like, just, it could be turning on the radio and listening to something. It could be talk radio, it could be music
Mm,
on the radio. It could be maybe zoning for a few minutes to something on TV. It could be, stepping outside, changing the air, changing the space,
mm,
nature versus in my living room.
mm,
So yeah, I guess if I think about it, it could be perhaps any one of those things that I might do instead of actually really, really meditating, I guess.
mhm.
Yeah.
it, I simply say it because, um, being vulnerable to something that comes up for me,
Hmm.
um, might give the audience the opportunity to see that that it's okay, or that it's something that people go through. And I felt like you were reflecting the same thing, like the meditation helps, and sometimes, and I should be doing it more. Like I heard that or something like that.
Yeah,
And
right.
there's a
You
reason
did.
I say it as well. Like I should be meditating more, but I don't, and I stop myself from doing it and do something else. Um, so it's interesting. I think that other people will resonate with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you did hear that in my words. Yes. And I don't like shoulds at all, because I feel like shoulds are can often be like outside of us. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not our message to ourselves, it's coming from outside of us. I
Mm-hmm.
often think shoulds are that, in my opinion. And it doesn't mean that's what it is, but that's how I think about shoulds. I should do that. I should do this.
It's a little
So
beat up. It's
it's
like
what?
it's a little beat up. Like you beat yourself up with the shoulds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a big one for me is I wish this could be different. I wish I had this thing, or I wish I was doing this instead of taking
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to say like, I want this, and I can set it as a goal, and I'll get it. I'll make it. I can do. I have power over a goal. I have no power over wishes. I'm not a genie, and I can't grant
Right.
myself wishes.
Right. Right. That's right. We do have power over goals. That's right. Exactly. Exactly. That's so that makes so much sense hearing you say that. That's so perfect in my mind, Alex. Yeah.
Well,
Agreed.
that's the philosopher in me. This is what I. I don't know why, but this is what I'm up to right now. It's being philosophical. Um,
I
and
love
and
it. I love
and
it.
in the philosophy and the spirituality, I really feel like you came together with both of them with the meditation and these in the should conversation, because I think that um, that is in and of itself a way to self-actualize, and I think self-actualization is spiritual thinking.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Totally agree with that as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome.
I'll quote this episode if I ever find the time. Okay. Do you have a moment in your life where entertainment or what do I say, some content in a book, a movie, a picture, something that you can remember, um, one of your first experiences becoming a woman or an adult through entertainment? Because I believe that our society doesn't really have that moment in which you know when you're an adult, or like, going from a boy to a man, uh, that gets filled in our culture with entertainment or
Hmm.
content or whatever. Do you have something, that a piece of content that you could remember?
So, I love your question. And I don't know. They're the two things that are sort of coming into my head,
Mm-hmm.
which don't necessarily fit, with your question, or nicely anyway. uh, I know that when I had my uh, bas mitzvah, bat mitzvah, I probably started feeling like I was coming into being a woman, even though I was 12 or 13 years old. I think.
Okay, so you got a bar mitzvah, and that is great, and I'm glad that your culture gives you the opportunity to start seeing that you graduated into adulthood somehow. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know how it
yeah.
works, but that
Right, right,
sounds nice.
right. And actually, you said bar, which is for a boy,
Oh, well,
and
uh,
that's okay.
um,
And
so,
bat,
bot.
BAT is for or boss is for a young lady. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
ignorant I am on the subject.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. It's
It,
all good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Hey,
think that
no one knows it all.
no, no, we don't. But
There
I'm,
we are.
but I'm trying. I'm trying.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
Nothing wrong with trying. It's a
yeah.
great place to be, to try.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it gives me something to shoot for. I know I'll never get there, and I can spend my whole life trying to get there, to knowing it all. gives me something.
Exactly.
Gives me something to do. So, do you have any final words that you'd like the listeners to hear before we wrap up this episode?
I just love the thought of, uh, you know, people being in the world and uh, being vulnerable with each other when they feel safe enough to do that. And, just being their true, authentic self. And or as you were saying, you know, searching for maybe who that is within them, who and what their true authentic self is and looks like. And I'm just glad that and feel again beyond grateful that I can be there, you know, with my clients to have them feel heard. And I think that when we as individuals feel truly heard, there's so much that can happen for us. So I want to say that. And I also want to thank you so much for having me on your show, Alex.
Hmm. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And thank you for supporting people on their journey to being their authentic selves. It is a difficult journey, and it is a road that's the road that's less traveled. Um, so I applaud everyone who's on that journey right now. This is Alexander Scatino. I am the host of Shh, Don't Tell My Mom, a show about sexual empowerment and being your authentic self. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Island of Taboo, and visit us on islandoftaboo.com, where I am the host of that as well. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you have fun out there. Thank you. Bye-bye.